Welcome back to the Clemson Tiger Wire podcast. We are all sports, all passion, all of the time. Tonight's passion is not the passion you'd expect. A little upset, a lot of upset, a lot of emotions going on. Don't know why I let myself get to this point, but we'll talk about that later. Hey, thanks so much for joining us. If you're watching on YouTube, we appreciate it. If you're listening, we appreciate it either way. But tonight's going to be a good episode. We are going to continue going through our ACC tournament as we talk about round 2 and preview round 3. So to help us talk through this, we've got some special guests. We got Michael from Duke Blue Central, and we got Anthony from Richland County Sheriff's Department, big old Wolfpack fan. So how y'all doing?
What an intro.
What's up?
Oh, I love the intro for Anthony every time.
Thank you. Thank you again for having me.
Anthony, I think you should start an NC State podcast.
I probably should at this point, you know?
I think you should. We've just created a little network right here.
Yeah.
I want you to intro yourself like that, though. You gotta throw the badge number in there.
You got it.
Guys, it's been a while. Last time we were all together was the mid-season review. How y'all been?
Good.
I'm going good. It's going good.
I'm gonna awkwardly talk to y'all like I haven't talked to y'all since then, even though I talk daily. But hey, I've missed y'all.
We never speak.
Yeah. But here's what we want to start the episode before we jump into the ACC tournament, guys. It's time for our review. It's time for our recap of how we did, how we did on our predictions. Are y'all ready for that?
Ready.
Let's see it.
Here we go. So the winner of our first annual Clemson Tiger Wire predictions for the ACC basketball is ya boy, John with the Tiger Wire. Ya boy. We got it.
Scripted result.
For sure.
The host wins. I mean,
we're a part of it.
Ridiculous.
You can go back to that episode. I think it was episode 8. Listen to that. It was a long one. But so we got it. It came down to the wire at our mid-season review. Michael, you were ahead by a good amount. I think you were ahead by 4 against me and 7 over Anthony. And
yeah.
The
mighty have fallen.
They
have fallen.
Going through this, we did pretty decent. So the colors on the right side, if it's green, we got it exactly or round it to exactly.
Yeah.
If it's faded green or gray, we're off by like 1 or 2. Yellow, we're off by like 2 or 3, and red, we're way off. So
we got a lot to work on for next season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of red from 3 down.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what y'all think on this? We're going to go through and I want to ask you 2 questions. All right. I'm going to ask you number 1, who is the most disappointed this season? Who are you most disappointed with through the ACC this season? Don't say your own team. If it is your own team, I'm not going to say Clemson, even though I'm obviously disappointed at Clemson, but y'all go ahead.
I know my disappointment, as you can tell from these standings that we're currently looking at. Miami. I was big on the Miami train, and I picked them for Coach of the Year, ACC champs, and picked them very highly along with y'all. But, we picked them 4, and they finished 14th. So that's the big disappointment for me.
Yeah, we all picked them 4 and finished second to last. That hurts. That hurts. Big disappointment. Michael, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really impossible for me not to say Miami. I mean, they were ranked in the AP poll to start the season and then horrible. They had a worse ACC record than Notre Dame. I mean, how do you – I'm trying to come up with another team just to avoid saying Miami again, but it's impossible for me to not say Miami.
Yeah, it's Miami hurts. That's also going to be mine. We're all 3 going to have the same. I would say Clemson, but you can look at the hashtag. Well, I don't know why I'm surprised. I'm surprised about them. I don't know why, but yeah, I'm going to go Miami. How do you go from 14?
The surprising to me is well, like when you go back and we look at, and this has to do with the transfer stuff, is like last year, like we talked about it. I'm pretty sure it was last year, right? They went to the Final Four.
Mm-hmm. Or 2 years ago.
At least Elite 8. It might have been
Either
2
way,
years ago. They've made 2 straight Elite 8s.
And then you bring this product. So
Yeah.
That's also what led my decision at the beginning, and they just never could get the wins this year. I don't know what it was.
Gosh, they just fell apart mid-season and could never get it back on the tracks. They're talking about Norchad Amir coming back next year for his COVID season, so maybe that could spark some interest back in them. But man, that's rough. Rough look for Miami. Second to last is crazy for them.
So Miami last year, they pulled it up. They made it to the Final Four on that road. They had a hard road. They beat number 4 Indiana, or first they beat number 12 to Drake, number 4 Indiana, number 1 Houston by 14, number 2 Texas, and then lost to UConn by 13 in the Final Four.
Yeah,
the year before that, they made it to the Elite Eight, beat USC, Auburn, Iowa State, and then lost to Kansas in the Elite Eight by 26. So 2 really good years back to back. Yeah, big loss.
How bad that loss was.
It wasn't pretty.
Yeah,
but it's just crazy how like teams change so much now. As you bring these Final Four Elite Eight teams in, and then your people graduate, and then here you are at almost the bottom of the ACC.
And they did lose probably their 2 most important guys. In Wong and was it? Can't remember the other point guard's name.
Anytime you lose your ACC Player of the Year, it's gonna hurt you.
Plus some more.
Who gets that every single year?
We don't get a Player of the Year every year. Well, who's the last ACC Player of the Year for Duke?
I don't know. Who is it? Zion?
Yeah, I think it's Zion. Did Paolo win it? I don't think he did. But he won Freshman of the Year, I think. But anyway.
We all agree Miami most disappointing. All right, next question. Pull it back up.
They'll be back though.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Probably next year or 2.
Yeah.
Jim Larinaga too good to let him do that consistently. Mm-hmm. Now going through, who's your most surprising? Whether it's a bad, don't say Miami again. Obviously, it was surprising, but whether it's good surprise,
it surprised me how bad Miami was.
Yeah. Who surprised you the most there?
I would say you probably got to give it to Pitt. Nobody expected a duplicate. Last year they did pretty good, and then they had a slow start at first. I know for myself, I picked them at 11 to finish, and they ended up top 4. So for me, it's Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that pick at all. I actually would advocate for maybe Jeff Capel being ACC Coach of the Year. Especially because even mid-season, I mean, they were way down in the ACC rankings, and to come back and get a double bye in the ACC tournament's really impressive. Just not picking Pitt. I'll go with maybe this isn't like super crazy surprising, but for me, Syracuse has been kind of a pleasant surprise this year. They lost today to NC State. Kind of a disappointing exit for them, I think they would say. But them finishing 7th above some teams that I think most people would say were going to be better than them at the beginning of the year. I kind of liked what I saw from Syracuse this year. So if I was a Syracuse fan, I'd be encouraged by the direction their new coach is taking them in. I've heard a lot of chatter that he could have been thrown in there for ACC Coach of the Year. So I'll pick Syracuse, even though the finish isn't that flashy. They had some good wins. They beat Carolina. I'll go with him.
I like it. I'm going to go. We're going to have switching it up instead of all 3 the same. We're going to have 3 different results. I'm going to go Virginia. I think Virginia, and that's weird saying that we're surprised that Virginia finished in the final 3 or top 3. But I feel like most people, and you look at our boards, we had what we project Virginia 6, 7, 8. We all thought they'd have a down year. We all thought they'd be slow. Just they lost some guys. Didn't feel like they had one guy that was going to be the guy to score, going to be the guy to take over. And they ended up finishing top 3. Going to play Boston College tomorrow. So, I think Virginia surprised me this year with their results, playing pretty well.
Yeah, I think that's a great coaching job, like it always is for Virginia. Yeah. As boring as the style of basketball it is. It really capitalizes on teams that don't have enough talent to get a bunch of possessions, and they're just in it every year. Now against good teams, they've been embarrassed a couple times this year.
Yeah,
they got embarrassed at Virginia Tech. Duke destroyed them at home, but still 3rd place finish. Not too shabby. Probably going to make the tournament.
Yeah, they should.
Yeah.
I definitely think they will.
Yeah.
Unless they just come out tomorrow and get blown out. But
yeah, they might be locked in already, but I'm not sure.
I think the last I saw before tonight's stuff, I think they were like right there on the bubble, like last 4 in, if I remember for the bracketology.
I saw them at 11, which would mean a play-in game, but yeah, I think they'll make it though.
I do too. I think they're in. But that's how we predicted regular season. We had the top. Looking at our scores, we really had the top 1-2 right on, and then missed a bunch right after that. And then kind of did decent on the back end. But yeah, so moving on real quick, let's touch on it. Freshman of the year, none of us got it. And honestly, I think
I should have got it.
I'll agree. I think they made the wrong call. I agree with Michael. He should have got it.
Yeah. Look, it's hard for me to. I'm blanking on the kid's name who just won it.
Burton.
It's Notre Dame. So remind me of his name. Yeah. Burton, right? That's it.
Yep.
It's hard to argue with like his statistical numbers. Like he's been averaging like 21 points over the last couple games. But if you dive deep into some of his efficiency metrics, he's a high volume guy that sometimes his offense is just so not there, but he's not afraid to take bad shots. He's also on a not good team, which I know doesn't factor into freshman of the year a ton, but Jared McCain has been one of the 3 best players probably on a second place ACC team that could go really far in the tournament. I think that should have factored into it a little bit more. But yeah, I get that you're going to go with the guy who probably has the most numbers, but that somewhat makes me upset because it's like, just because McCain didn't get the opportunity to shoot as much as this guy did, he's not getting the award, which is just interesting to me. But yeah, he got it. So congrats to him.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm not going to talk about it a lot. You're a Duke fan. You can explain it better than I can. But yeah, I think Jared McCain season he had on the court. I love him off the court too.
Off the court,
I love him. I love him off the court. But on the court, yeah, I think he deserved it. I think he played well when Flip was out. When not out, but when Flip wouldn't have a great game, McCain was there with energy, pulling down boards. Yeah, I think he did more than what you
performs in big games too.
Yeah.
There hasn't, I mean, maybe beginning of the year, but every big game late season, he gets 15 plus. Even once we lose, I mean,
was it the first Carolina game that everybody else was kind of off and he went off?
Yes, yeah, he had 20 in that game.
Yeah.
Flip ended up getting 20, but he struggled a little throughout. And then even this last Carolina game, he had 19 against Wake. The game we lost, he performed well. Like big games, he shows up.
Anthony, Carla, what's your thoughts on it?
I mean, I was fine with it. I enjoyed Burton's fun to watch. I've watched him the past 2 games this week. He's an exciting player for Notre Dame. I don't know if he'll end up staying there, but I'm not opposed to it. I mean, like you said, he's averaging the past couple of games. I think he had a 9-point game to end the year, but the majority of them's in the 20s. So for Notre Dame, I mean, he is their guy, their young guy, and the future for him. So I don't hate the decision to pick him as the freshman of the year.
I would have rather the Pitt guy got it than him too. I would have put the Pitt guy and Jared McCain over him, even with his numbers.
I do not put Elliot Cadeau over him. I think I was way off on my prediction. Yeah.
Well, that was the preseason favorite. I mean, not crazy to pick him at all.
But all right, we'll quickly hit this one. I don't think this one was a surprise to a lot of us, but RJ Davis, Player of the Year. Michael, you called this from the get-go.
I did get it. I got this one. This is the one I can be proud of, and it's a Carolina player. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious RJ deserved this year.
Yeah.
Even though, like I just said, like he did have a ton of volume, like he was called upon to score a bunch. But he is a pretty dang efficient player as well for his position. So I think RJ for sure deserved it.
Anthony, what's your thoughts on Hubert taking home Coach of the Year?
I don't understand that one. I mean, I know North Carolina's good, but I think there was a lot of like the surprise teams that we're talking about. Like there's coaches out there that wasn't expected to finish high, that was able to get their team, whether that's top 5, top 3, whatever. I don't know. I don't really agree with that one that much. Obviously, I'm wrong with Larinaga. Like, I agree that he didn't deserve it. But I would have gave it to Wake's coach. I mean, we thought they would do well, but I mean, just not being a, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I don't
I
agree with
might
it.
have given it to several coaches before
Yeah.
I would have given it to Hubert. Not to just sound like a Carolina hater, but
I feel like they are rewarding Hubert Davis for not being bad. It feels like
yes.
last year he was
they're
terrible.
they're
And so
they're rewarding him this year for last year them sucking.
Exactly. They're saying, "Oh, you
Which
sucked
shouldn't
last year
count.
and you didn't come in this year and didn't suck. So you did what you're supposed to
mean-
do at Carolina." That's
I mean, they were picked
yeah.
to finish second or first by some people, and they won. It's like
Yeah.
they win for that.
with Grandpa Baycott playing with RJ Davis. Yeah,
Exactly. I mean, man,
I
I
agree.
could
I
talk
don't think
about
he
this
should have
one
got
for
it.
a minute, but it's Duke gets snubbed for ACC coach. Coach K got snubbed his whole career for this award because everyone thinks that getting a high recruiting class means you don't have to try to coach, which is just ridiculous. I
You're
think
just
it's even
coaching a lot
harder.
of younger guys.
Yeah, I think it's even harder. But
Are you saying John Shire should have won it?
no, he shouldn't have won it this year.
Okay.
As much as I like
I thought
Shire,
that's what you're saying. I was
no,
like,
no,
I don't know if I agree
Shire
with that.
shouldn't have won it. I thought he had a good year. I'm not mad
Yeah.
at Shire at all. But but I would have given it. I mean, Forbes from Wake, I thought had a well coached year. I would have even I could have given it to the Syracuse new coach for coming into a new program and doing okay. Like, yeah,
Capel at Pittsburgh, I'd have been fine with.
Bennett. I mean,
yeah,
like
Capel.
for
I know
having
y'all
the
didn't
roster
expect
Virginia has. Yeah.
Y'all didn't expect Capel. I did. I had him at 5, so he outperformed me. But I was
Yeah.
right there. Capel
Mhm.
still did good though.
Capel,
yeah,
definitely, yeah, for sure.
I agree. There was a lot of different coaches should have got that. Real quick, we all didn't get the regular season champion. We all missed that. Clemson was far from it with the 6. Y'all both were a little closer with Duke coming in second. Came down to that last game of the season.
Game away.
Yep. And then ACC champs. We all, Michael, you have the same champ that you've called from the beginning of the season.
I've held on.
Anthony, you have not got the same one.
No.
Neither do I. But at least y'all's champions are in. So we're gonna go ahead.
Miami's not. They're trash.
They'll be back. We're like we said.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
but
they'll be all right.
Larry will be able to pull a team back together, but it's going to take
He'll recruit
a year or two. Yeah.
So that's that. That is our first official Tiger Wire regular season prediction. So appreciate y'all being a part of that. Hopefully y'all can come back next year, be a part of year 2 with it. So it'll be good. Maybe even throw some football in there. But now want to switch gears and we want to talk about the tournament. Yesterday was round 1. Michael, we missed you on the pod, but it's all good. I think now we're going to talk about round 2 and we're excited about it. So round 2 is wrapped up today. And so you had 4 pretty good games. 2 were blowouts. I think, right? Only 2 of them were blowouts.
Yeah.
But let's just start at game 4 and we'll talk about round 2 and then we'll talk about the matchup between the winner of round 2's game and the quarterfinal matchup. So that Virginia Tech FSU game, let's see the predictions. So I predicted at Florida State to win. Anthony and Michael got Virginia Tech. So let's walk through this. What are our thoughts on that one?
It was overall, it might have been one of the better games. Florida State handled it pretty well. I mean, the game was closer than what I thought the final score would be. Florida State just wasn't able to really pull off, but they did their job and came out with the win. I think I was looking a minute ago. One of their guys had where was it? Watkins. He scored 34 points for them. Definitely didn't expect that. Not really even heard that guy's name that much. So good for him. Good for him to show up in the ACC tournament.
Yep.
Yeah.
Virginia Tech was hitting shots in the first half, and they still weren't able to sustain a big lead. They were only up by a little at half. I can't remember how much, but they stopped hitting shots, and Florida State was able to come back.
Yeah, Padula didn't have the best game, and he feels like Padula's been the guy that they've rode a lot this season. He had 30+ when they played Clemson.
Yeah. Tech is one of those teams that's like, if the guys are on, they're on. but they were on for the first half for a lot of it, but then it died off.
Looking at the North Carolina Florida State matchup, in my opinion, and Anthony, we talked about this last night, or in yesterday's episode. I think this game in North Carolina FSU is going to be closer than most people would guess. You look back at their one matchup this season, January 27th.
Played them pretty good.
Yeah, Florida State had a double-digit lead at one point. Carolina came back and won by like 7 because of free throws, that kind of stuff late. But I could see that being a tough matchup for the Tar Heels, especially playing a team who's already got the momentum of winning in the tournament. Fun fact, and this is kind of off subject, my little opinion, I think the ACC tournament should get rid of seedings how it has it, and it should go more of a NCAA tournament format. I think when you play a team like Boston College, who's going to come out of a 2-game win streak, playing a team that has been sitting for a while, it's hard. Kind of gets to the baseball argument. So in my opinion, I think they should get rid of the format. I don't like it. The double bye to me hurts sometimes more than it helps.
It's an interesting take.
Yeah, I think it can. I think it hurts the first game people more, but especially after, like, I'm sure we'll talk about Duke, NC State here in a minute, but I think like NC State playing 2 games over 2 days, facing a fresh Duke team, to me doesn't hurt as much. I can see how it would in the second round, because they only have to play 1 game and then you're the second. But baseball, I can see it more in, but basketball being a little more athletic sport, I don't know. I'd have to digest that one a little.
But anyway, so yeah, I think North Carolina FSU game, I think that's a closer one. Y'all two both picked Virginia Tech to win that game and have North Carolina beating Virginia Tech in that next round. Y'all still sticking with that? Y'all think Virginia Tech takes that, or you think? Do you think FSU takes that, or are you still sticking with UNC winning?
I'm still sticking with North Carolina. I think they got too good of a team. Whichever team played them this next round, I think North Carolina would beat either one of them. So I'm sticking with North Carolina.
Yeah, I think they'll win too, unless they get a little hungover from the Duke win, which is exactly what happened last time they beat Duke. They lost to, was it Syracuse or Clemson the very next game, and then lost to Syracuse not that shortly after. So unless they're just emotionally exhausted from a game like that, but it's been a few days. I think they were going to beat whoever they played. Too much talent.
I agree. Moving on, we got next game was the Notre Dame Wake Forest game. That was a good game. Can be surprising. Wake Forest definitely came out and handled their business. Notre Dame beat them recently. Beat them a couple weeks ago. What was your thoughts on that one?
Right after they beat Duke.
Yeah.
The Duke effect is real. You beat Duke, bad things happen.
It was a good game. Wake was very well balanced out. Their scoring, there was nobody that I don't think anybody went off really high points. It was just a well balanced game for Wake, and I'm not surprised that they pulled it out.
Yeah, Wake looks good, and the reason I picked them to win this tournament is I think if their guards get hot, they can easily go on a tear and win 4 in a row. And Efton Reed, their big man, is a big key for them staying out of foul trouble. He flirted with some foul trouble in today's game. It didn't matter against Notre Dame, but against higher competition, even like Pitt, he's got to stay out of foul trouble. But I still think Wake is going to pull through. I think they'll win this next one.
And that's with the down game from Hunter Sallis as well. He only had 14, so.
For sure.
Yeah, down.
Right, exactly. for him at least.
Yeah, for him.
Looking at this Nets game, Wake plays Pittsburgh tomorrow in game 2 of round 3. In my opinion, I think that Wake Pitt game could have the most impact on the NCAA tournament out of any game in the ACC tournament so far. I think that game is when Pittsburgh and Wake Forest both on the bubble. They both should be in my opinion. There's no way that both of them aren't a top 64 team, in my opinion. I think they should both be in. But I think tomorrow the loser is definitely out, is what I'm thinking.
Ooh, you think so?
I do.
You think if Wake lose? I think if Wake loses, it might be close. If Pitt loses, they're definitely out.
I think if Wake loses, they're out. I think
they
right
could
now,
be out. I think it'll be close.
Yeah.
But
they were already out before this. They were projected to be out before today's game, and they beat Notre Dame. Who,
first
yes,
4 out.
Notre Dame beat them, but how much does Notre Dame that win really help?
Not a lot. Neutral site court against Notre Dame doesn't boost you that much.
Mm-mm.
So yeah,
I think
you're right. Yeah.
I think it is the most important game for the whole tournament. Even unless like say an NC State makes it to the championship, right?
Yeah.
And then it's a win and you're in.
Yeah.
But other than something like that happening, I think you're right. The winner makes it in, and the other one goes home.
We all three have Wake beating Pitt. We all three predicted that matchup, and we all three have Wake winning. So I think we all should be seeing with that one. Moving on, Anthony, we'll let you take the lead on this one. NC State, Syracuse, game 3 of the day.
It was a good game. I enjoyed it very much. Obviously, it was a pretty solid win once we were able to kind of take off. Again, just like last night's game we were talking about, we kept it close right there in the first half, which is always good for us if we can stay within striking distance, because too many times early on in the season we let people get the big deficit, and then we always ship back in the second half, and sometimes we just didn't have enough time. So being able to keep it close, and then was worried about DJ Horn. DJ Horn was able to come in, got the crowd going. I think he still ended up with like 12 or 14 points himself with like only 20 minutes playing. But there's a lot of positives with him. I'm excited that he will hopefully, everything holds up good, he'll be able to play against Duke tomorrow. But him on the fast break dunk looks like his hip's doing pretty well from what I can tell. But I'm excited for the opportunity to play Duke. I'm not super confident in our team just because I've seen us all season long. But I'm glad we won. This is the first time, I don't know if you knew this, is the first time NC State has won more than one game in the ACC tournament in 10 years. So,
whoa. What?
2014 was the last time that they'd done that.
That's insane.
That hurts. That
yeah.
Oh, that hurts. I think looking at the game today, I think y'all played well. Not much to talk about. Didn't shoot the ball from the 3 that well, but obviously you didn't need to, putting up 83 points. But I think, in my opinion, I thought you at halftime, and I said this, I don't know why DJ Burns didn't have the ball more. I mean, he ended up with 15 points. I think he took 12 shots. Syracuse really doesn't have a player that can match up well with DJ Burns. Not many people do in this league, granted, but
right.
I think I mean, it worked out well for them. They won by 18 points. I'm not going to sit here and say they made a bad decision on how they coached it because they won by 18. But I would imagine that he'd have been option 1 every possession unless he's sitting on the court, on the bench. But
I will throw this stat out for at least today's game before we start talking about tomorrow. We were able to get to the line again 24 times tonight. Last night, 40 times. So, I mean, this is something I haven't seen in the NC State team, getting teams in foul trouble and being able to get to the line and capitalizing. They went 20 for 24. I'm not – obviously, I'd like to go perfect, but I'm not mad about it. That's 20
a
points
good
for the
– 20 for 24.
Yeah.
5 out of every 6.
I mean, how many of those did Burns take? I mean, that would have been – he's probably –
Burns went 1 for 1.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Never mind. Yeah. Okay.
Big game from DR as well. Brought 14 boards, I believe, if I'm looking right. Yeah, 14 boards in off the bench. Or no, he started tonight. Sorry. So yeah, it's just if we can get a full and they talked to Keats at halftime, and they were talking about like not moving the ball as well as they did last night. I think they went to half with like 1 assist, and then we ended up with I don't even know what, I don't have it pulled
16.
up. 16 assists. So
I
it's
have it pulled up. I don't remember this. I'm looking at it.
Ball movement was a key for yesterday without Horn, and I don't see why we would get away from that going into the game tomorrow.
Yeah. Speaking of tomorrow, we've got a great opportunity here on the Tiger Wire. NC State going up against Duke. Both y'all are here. Both of y'all predicted the same thing, that Duke would win. I did as well. We all predicted that matchup. Let's talk about it. Michael, keys of the game for Duke tomorrow. What do y'all need to do in order to win this?
Not to sound like a broken record here, do what we did to NC State before. I mean, I can give you the keys to the game. I mean, it's like the reason Duke was able to pull away from NC State in the end of their other game is the defensive strategy against them was to let Burns have his own. We weren't doubling DJ Burns 90% of the time, and when we did, Shire was getting upset that we were doubling him. Now he ended up scoring 27, but what we didn't allow is NC State to get open threes or even any good looks from three. Horn was essentially a non-factor in the game against Duke. And that was the strategy. Make Burns make tough 2-point shots instead of allowing him to kick it around to open threes. And I think we can do the exact same thing, especially on a neutral court, as opposed to playing in PNC, which I feel a lot better about as a Duke fan, playing neutral instead of at NC State. And offensively, Duke's just got to be ourselves, pass the ball well. Duke's assist rate is really key in how we perform in games. Games we pass the ball and share the ball really well. We have excellent records, and when we don't, it's not so pretty. So pass the ball, but NC State defensively, Duke has a lot of talent offensively, so I'm not too worried about that side of the ball. You just got to avoid NC State shooting a bunch of good 3-point shots.
And that's what they've been able to do the first 2 games, at least, is that Burns has been able to dish it out, and you got people stepping up like O'Connell knocking down threes. I mean, yeah.
I think too many people panic when you're coaching against NC State. Too many people panic when they see Burns get the ball because they feel like he's going to make it every time. And a lot of the times he does make it. But sometimes it's better to let one player just kill you and only get 27, but everybody else is shooting really poorly. That's what Duke did the first game they played NC State, and it worked really well.
Clemson did the opposite. Clemson did exactly what you're talking about, where Burns had the ball, PJ or Ian would be on him, and the other would be on the other low block ready to help. And because of that,
Burns is a great passer. He sees that. He sees that every day.
DJ Horn went off, scored. I think he scored 30 points, hit pretty much a buzzer beater to win it late. That's exactly what you're saying. Is exactly what Clemson did to win that. So, Anthony, what's your keys to the game? What does State need to do to pull the upset?
We got to obviously get to our defense that we normally play, force the turnovers. When we're winning the turnover battle is the majority of the time we win that game. So just being able to get on Duke, if they can set up that full court, would be important. And then again, like I've said so far, the first 2 games is the ball movement, something that we've lacked. We get too many times where we give it to Burns and then it's just a Burns show or it's a Horn show, which again, a lot of times they can do that, but as you can see from the first 2 games, having that ball movement, being able to kick it out to the guys that you're not typically kicking it to, whether that's Taylor, O'Connell. I mean, these are guys that can knock down threes as well. And again, like we've mentioned many times on your podcast, is settling with the 3, because a lot of times we can get in that mindset when nothing else is working, we're just jacking up threes. So ball movement and playing good defense and not playing like, I don't know. A lot of times I see us where we get out of how we're winning ball per se, I guess. And Keats is big on the pressure, so pressuring the ball and being smart.
I think it's going to be a good game. I don't think – well, how much did Duke win last game? Did they win by a comfortable margin?
We ended up winning by like 15.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was closer throughout the game, but there, like with 10 minutes to go, Duke stole the ball a couple times and hit some threes, and then it stayed 10-15 like the last like 9 minutes of the game. It was pretty close up until then. Really close.
I think tomorrow should be a good game.
If we learned anything from the first 2 games, if we can get like Flipowski in foul trouble or something and get to the line, that's been a good day for us when we've been able to get to the line.
Yeah, that'll be big for him. And I think hitting threes, getting to the line, we'll see. Maybe that ACC official, the refs want to get one more ACC team in the tournament.
Who knows?
Who knows?
I do have Duke winning, but yeah, those are my thoughts. I have a little bit of optimism left in me.
All right, so that's game 3. Now moving on to game 6. And now moving on to 4th game today, game 7, Miami and Clemson. Y'all go ahead.
Yeah, no.
Or Boston College, not Miami, Boston College. I have that wrong on the bracket.
I'll give you my one thought real quick. I mean, Clemson seemed dead.
Yeah, y'all go ahead and talk about it because I'm going to talk for a while. So let's hear your thoughts.
You go first, Anthony.
I mean, it wasn't really much to talk about. Boston College pretty much did what they wanted. There was no excitement that I saw from Clemson. Um, yeah, I mean, there's not really a whole lot to write home about because it wasn't a great performance by Clemson. It's not the games that I've watched them this year. I was kind of disappointed by watching them. I had high hopes for them in the tournament, but yeah.
Michael, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, similar. One thing that surprised me, at least in the first half, it kind of it tightened up a little bit. If I'm looking at the numbers right here, well, no, it didn't. So Boston College smashed Clemson on the boards today. As far as total rebounds in the game, Clemson was only able to pull down 25 to Boston College 38. That is a big gap, especially for a team that has rebounded the ball pretty well. I mean, you have one of the elite rebounders in Shefflin on this team, and to get smashed on the boards like that really hurt them. In the first half, I think Boston College had at one point had like 10 more field goal attempts than Clemson did, which is not a recipe to win. Typically, the team with the most shots miss or make is the one that wins. If you get more opportunities, you're probably going to make more. And the really bad rebounding in the first half ruined that for Clemson, and they could never climb out of it. Big performance from them. I mean, you have to go to Chase Hunter first, who went 0 for 10 and scored 2 points today, which is after a stretch where he had been playing pretty well. I mean, his last 2 games, he scored 17 points, had a 4-point game before that, but then even before then, it's like 15, 16, 18, 10, 20, 14. I mean, you get a guy like that score 2 and not even make a shot. They were free throws, I believe. That I mean, kills you. How much did they lose by today? I mean, they might have
21.
lost. Yeah, so a little bit more than his point total, but still, to have a guy like that you count on for at least 10 a game, not only go scoreless but miss 10 shots. I mean, Gerard only took 11 shots in this game. So, and he had an effective first half, at least. I thought he had a somewhat decent of a game from 3 at least. But yeah. I mean, it has a lot of the blame from a player perspective has to fall on him.
Yeah. Y'all pretty much said it. I won't say anything. I'm just kidding. I'm gonna go off for a second. I think, God, what are we doing? What are we doing? Look at my tag. Surprised. I'm surprised. I bought into the hype this year. I picked them for regular season champs. That worked out great. Picked them for player of the year. Picked them for coach of the year. I've done everything I could. I bought into the hype. And I'll be honest with y'all. Before this year, y'all know me personally outside of the Tiger Wire. I was a big proponent of a change in leadership. I have been for many years, 14 years, 3 postseason performances, appearances. Pitiful, right? And look, I'll say this too. I'll preface it with this. Brad Brunell is a great guy. I mean, you hear him in post conference. You hear him. He's a great guy. I wish him nothing but success in his career. I don't want anything bad to happen to him. I would love to have him successful wherever he goes, as long as he leaves. I think I don't understand how he's still there.
Don't wish him success if he stays.
No, he's not. He's obviously I do. But what are we doing? What are we doing with him? 14 years. I bought into the hype. I played up that we were going to be this great team, and we show up and do the same thing that we do every single year. Last year we lost to Louisville in the ACC tournament. Louisville, who's got 12 wins in 2 years. What are we doing? What are we even doing? Then we're playing Boston College this year, and Boston College is a good team. I'm not saying they're not. We beat them by 11, or I think 11 their first game, but they had 7 people that played. PJ Hall played decent tonight. You could tell he was on fire, scored 21 points. Chase Hunter, like you talked about, with the 8-minute timeout mark, he was sitting at a negative 21 plus or minus, and we were down by 13. We're down by 13. He was at negative 21. He's been someone that we've, like you've talked about, Michael, he's been someone that this year when he's playing well, we played well. In the beginning of the ACC schedule, and we lost those 3 straight, Chase Hunter averaged like 6 points those 3 games. He's been someone that we've played really strong through. We made 4 threes tonight. We shot 4 for 20 from the 3 and didn't make one in the second half. It was a pitiful performance. I know we're going to make the NCAA tournament. If we didn't make the NCAA tournament and it meant that we had a change in leadership, I would be a huge proponent of that, just to make sure that we got out of that. I just want to reiterate. I know that's a big phrase. I would rather us not make the tournament this year, change in leadership, than make the tournament. That's where I'm at. And so we'll talk. I already have a couple replacements that make sense, that are great replacement options. We'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, that's my opinion. Boston College moves on. And like I said, I'm not trying to take anything from Boston College. They're a good team. Quentin Post is a great player.
And y'all were able to limit him pretty well today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, part of that's foul trouble. He sat the final 13 minutes in the first half because one, why would you risk it when they're still extending the lead? That's the thing. Their best player didn't play for the last 13 minutes first half, and they outscored us still. That's unexcusable.
Let me ask you this. Can I give a fun stat on Clemson?
Sure.
So if you look at, I shared this on my Twitter the other day. It's a chart of teams that they think are going to do pretty well in the NCAA tournament, and they're ranked high to low on how do they play against competition, against good competition. And what's interesting is that Clemson ranks pretty high on that list, meaning that they play really well against good teams, but play really bad against bad teams. So that's been a development this year. And I was going to ask, because that could translate to, if they win 2 games in this NCAA tournament, are you still talking about this? If they make a Sweet 16 run?
Yes. And here's the thing. You ready? I agree that, yes, look at our season. That's exactly how we have. We played really well against Duke, played really well against Carolina. Both games, they kind of pulled away the first game because of free throws. We beat them the second game. That makes sense, right? Look, we beat Alabama, beat TCU. Makes sense. We're projected to get a 5 or a 6 seed in the NCAA tournament, which means we will be playing, what is that, an 11 seed? Is it 5-11? Yeah. It means we're probably going to be playing a team that is not too hot, right? Probably going to be playing a team that'll come in with some minimum, because we're playing 11. That's most likely one of the play-in games.
Yeah, 5-12, 6-11.
Oh, 5-12. All right. So yeah, so we could be playing
the
12 seed or 11.
I thought they were a 6 seed, Clemson.
We were, I think, at the beginning of the night, we were the last 5 seed.
Okay,
so with that loss tonight, we're probably going to be a 6, if not a 7. But I don't know. I think if we win, say we make a Sweet 16 run, say that happens. Obviously, I'm celebrating that, and obviously that's great. Not
put it up in the Raptors.
We will. Are you kidding? That's our 3rd time ever. That's my point.
I think I'm throwing it. I think it's very realistic Clemson could win 2 NCAA tournament games.
I do too. 100%.
Especially with the way they lost. Like, all it takes is PJ Hall to score 20, and then like Gerard to pop off from 3 for 2 games. I think they could do it, and then I think a lot of Clemson fans will forget about tonight, is what I will predict.
All right, here's my to that. If that happens, I will still be saying we need a change in leadership. I think you can't,
sign a new contract.
Ride that. Oh, if that happens, he's signing a lifetime deal. That's
what do they have to do for you not to be upset? Elite 8? I mean, that's crazy, though. Elite 8?
No, I mean, it's not. I'm not going to be upset. I'm not going to be upset if they make a Sweet 16.
Yeah, of course.
If they win one game, I'm not like I'm going to celebrate that. But in order for me to be happy with Brad Brownell, I've got to. He's got to be. He's got to make that run, and then next year's got to be huge. Like a run in the NCAA, he's riding his talent. Look at this team; it's the most talented team that he's had his entire career, and it landed him 6th place in the ACC.
Yeah, that's a good point.
In a year that's like. ACC is not as bad as it has been. It's a decent conference. It's a good conference.
Yeah.
I'd probably put 2nd best conference in the college right now. But 6th place with the talent that we have, I think winning 2 games in the tournament wouldn't measure up to the 11 games he's lost this year.
Yeah,
10 in the ACC, 4 at home. But that's
we'll see.
Yep. So Boston College goes on and plays. Virginia, all 3 of us had Clemson beating Virginia. So now who are we picking? New pick, Virginia at Boston College. Who do we think wins that?
I'm gonna go with Virginia. I mean, they're a good team. They've started figuring it out. I remember when we first did our preseason stuff, they didn't look to par as normal Virginia teams. So they've been able to kind of get that typical Virginia team, low scoring games, like you said, not really exciting ball. But I think they're able to slow down Boston College and they'll advance tomorrow.
Yeah,
Michael, what you think?
if Boston College is able to score, I think they can beat Virginia. I think they have enough players that can score a lot to beat them. To beat Virginia, you essentially have to score like 60 points. I mean, and they're probably not going to outscore you. So I think they can win. Do I think Virginia? I probably would lean Virginia still in this game. But I don't know, just the way Virginia has been like just embarrassed in games this year where the other team has been able to score. Part of me is like, does a kind of hot Boston College team come in and win? But I still
you
would
would
probably, yeah.
no, so
Sorry,
you would write down Virginia.
I would pick Virginia to win.
Okay,
As boring as that is, not to go for the upset.
I'm going for the upset. I think, and I
Mhm.
could be just saying that because they beat Clemson. Honestly, I think a high school basketball team could have beat the team that Clemson put out there tonight.
No. Maybe Montverde.
Sierra Canyon. Yeah. What's it? Bryce James would have balled PJ
Bryce
Hall. I'm just kidding. But no, I think Boston College wins. I think not only is Quentin Post playing well, but Jay-Z, that's all that they call him on the announcer. What is it, Zachary?
Zachary.
Yeah, he's had 2 games in a row, 20+ points. They
Harris
got
had 27.
Harris had 27 tonight. We kept leaving him wide open.
He went 5 for 16 from 3. I mean, he was throwing them up.
He's a black hole tonight.
Yeah.
But and then you look, a big performance for them against Miami was McGlockton, who had 2 points tonight, shooting 0 for 1. So I think they could win tomorrow. They got the size. If they can, like you said, if they can score, Virginia can't score. Virginia is an excellent defensive team. So can Boston make shots? Can they shoot? Great ball. But
I can't imagine if Duke's path to the ACC championship is NC State and Boston College, and we're in the championship. I mean, I think NC State's a pretty good team, but you would have told me that before. And we're the 2. We're not even the 1. Look at who would you rather be right now? Like Carolina's now is to play Florida State and either Pitt or Wake. At worst, we get Virginia, who we destroyed.
I think,
I'm rooting for that now. You guys have got me rooting for that now. I want to play NC State and Boston College, and then have to play Wake.
But that's our prediction. So we'll see what happens. Again, we won't have a video episode, or we'll talk about that in a second. But I'm gonna throw a surprise question on you real quick. Y'all do not have to answer this, or I would love for you to, but see if y'all can answer this. So the teams are over on the left. So far, the ACC has already had one change in coach, with Louisville firing their coach. He came in and he told them, it's going to take me 3 or 4 years to make a change, to make success happen here at Louisville. And they fired him after 2. And he said, I told you 3 or 4, and they didn't have patience. Granted, he won 12 games in 2 years, so I don't know if I'd have gave him 3 or 4 either.
He blamed it on the fans. It wasn't his fault.
Yeah, exactly.
That's for sure.
Yeah. Which one of the most, that was, I agree with the firing there, but he did what he said. We didn't have a chance to see if it came true. My question to you is this: of the other 14 teams in the conference, is there any other changes in coaches that y'all think should happen? And if you have any replacements that you would throw out there, throw it out. I'll start, since I'm asking surprise. I'll give you a chance. Obviously, I've already said I think Clemson should have a change in leadership. I think Brad should be able to go somewhere else, and I wish him success wherever. But I think that we should definitely move on, and my replacements would be 1 or 2 people. My second choice would be Greg Buckner. Greg was he was a great Clemson player for us. He made a great shot against Carolina in a memorable ACC tournament game. He's had great success as an assistant coach in Cleveland Cavaliers. He's a great player, great coach. Granted, the recruiting process would be a little different if he came, but his son is actually coming to Clemson next year, so we could see one of those cool stories of a father coaching his son. My first pick that I would say to replace Brad Brownell would be Will Wade. I don't know if y'all followed him at all. He was a manager for the basketball team in the early 2000s for Clemson. Then he went on and coached at VCU, was an assistant coach at Harvard, and then he coached at LSU and had some really good success at LSU. Had him won the SEC regular season, made it to NCAA tournament, really made LSU had that turn for basketball there. But then he was a part of the big flux of coaches that got fired after all the scandals came out about spending money on athletes, that kind of part. But now he's at McNeese State. Last year, McNeese State without him lost 23 games. He came in this year and they won, I think they won 30 games this year, won their conference tournament, and now they're going to the NCAA tournament. I think the success is there. He's won the SEC. He's shown success wherever he goes. He's had that. Will Wade, I'd love to bring him home. He's my choice to replace Brad. So that's my opinion. What would be y'all's?
Michael, you want to go?
Anthony, I can go first. I'll just go down the list here and just say yes or no for each team. How about that?
All right, that works.
I don't know if I have suggestions. UNC, no, right now. Maybe in a few years. Duke, no. Clemson, yes. Yeah, I agree. I probably don't think. I don't think the fit's there for Brad. I don't think you're going to get an NBA coach to come back. I think that's kind of far. It's hard to get an NBA guy to come back to any college. But yeah, you make a compelling argument for the Wade guy, so that sounds good. I'd like to see Clemson get somebody who can really recruit.
Yeah,
just get some excitement in that program. Yeah, so Clemson, yeah, I'll agree with you. Miami, no. Pitt, no. NC State, actually think yes. I would move on if I were them. I think
you don't like the.
I don't have anything against the man personally. I just think I've always thought for the historical relevance that NC State has to the game of college basketball, a lot of great things have come from NC State basketball. Cutting down the nets started with them. I want, for the relevance that they've had, and I think the recruiting that they can potentially do, how passionate the fans are. I think they deserve more than the product that they get each and every year. I don't know how you feel about that, Anthony, but yeah, well, I'll go Virginia. Virginia, no. Virginia, no. Obviously, Wake Forest, no. Virginia Tech. Who's at Tech now? I gotta remember who's at Tech these days. What's his? Let me look that up real quick. Let me see.
I'm not sure who it is.
I know they had.
It ain't Buzz.
William. Yeah, they had Buzz.
Mike Young.
A&M. Mike Young. No, you got to give him some more time. It hadn't been that long. Syracuse. No, feel good about what they did. Boston College. I don't know too much about their coaching situation, but it's kind of hard. Boston College is in a tough spot.
ACC Georgia Network loves him.
Yeah, I don't. Sure, they can keep their coach. Georgia Tech. They have a pretty new coach who I've.
Stoudemire.
Or isn't it Shrewsbury's Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Stoudemire's Georgia Tech. I get them mixed up. He's shown the ability to coach really well in good games. I would keep him, and if you get some good players in that program, they could be cool. FSU, I'd keep Hamilton. Notre Dame, brand new coach. You're obviously not going to get rid of him. And Louisville obviously just did, and I agree with this. So I guess the teams, I'll say Clemson, yes. NC State, yes. And that's it, right? Is that all I said? And then
Louisville, yeah. But
yeah.
All right. Anthony, what's your opinion?
I like that list. I'm an advocate for Kevin Keats going. He's been here not as long as Brad. Not as long as Brad. He's only been there like 7 years, but the best finish that he's had is third in the ACC, and that was with his first year team. So I don't know how much credit you can give him for that. Mark Gottfried, obviously he had his stuff going on, which is legal now, but each their own, with Dennis Smith. But anyway, my point is Mark Gottfried was able to recruit very well, and Keats has not. He gets some players, but he hasn't been able to match the caliber of players that we were used to in like the CJ Leslies and the TJ Warrens and the early 2010s, right? Yeah, the late 2000s, early 2010s, even obviously dating further back to when they've won championships. But yeah, I agree. I think NC State deserves better. It's nothing against Keats. I enjoy what he tried to implement with the full court press and stuff. But he's only made the tournament twice, hasn't got a win in the tournament. We are awful against quad one teams. And I don't know if that's
at home.
Yeah, I mean they've won a couple, right? But overall, man, they cannot get the big wins at all.
Yeah.
So I think unless something like you said dramatic, like you were talking with Brad, happens, that would be the only way to keep him. I think if we lose to Duke, obviously we're not making the tournament, in my opinion. I think maybe NIT. And even if you make a run at NIT, I think it's still time to move on from Coach Keats, in my opinion.
I really started to think that last year with Gravion Smith and Joyner and Burns. Like, that's a lot of talent for kind of like what a lot of people might see as like a mid-tier ACC team, and like to get bounced in round one of the tournament. With the tournament, everybody says guards win. Like, they had the guards to win 2 games in that tournament, and they got bounced bad, I think, in the first.
But the worst part is they were on the line. Like, they were right there with Clemson, and it's like they barely squeaked into their second tournament under Keats. Yeah.
With that, like, gosh, those guys were so good and so crazy to watch. Like, I just felt like with that team only making it that far. NC State is really patient with head coaches, though. Like, they're notoriously. I remember, like, they kept Sidney Lowe around there for forever, even after
majority of my childhood.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they kept him there forever, even after everybody thought that he should have been gone. But that's the way it goes sometimes.
And I don't really have a replacement right now, unless y'all have suggestions for NC State. I don't know. I know in the past they've looked at the Miller brothers, Sean and Archie, coming in because they have ties. But
I go out of the family.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who that person is right now.
Hey, y'all gonna have Bradbury now.
I mean,
I would be going after. I don't want you to do this, but if I was either Clemson or NC State and none of those options, I would get Jay Lucas, who's the head associate coach at Duke right now, who was the head associate for John Calipari at Kentucky. He's a great coaching mind, and I don't think we're going to keep him from not being a head coach much longer. I'd be hitting him up. I might even call up Nolan Smith, who is available right now because of all the Louisville layoffs, I believe.
Yeah.
So,
it would make sense that he's out of Louisville.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for hopping on the podcast. Hopefully we see y'all again soon before the end of the tournament. But yeah, we appreciate y'all. Nice to see y'all as always.
Yeah,
yep. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us here on the Tiger Wire today for another episode as we recap round 2 and preview round 3 of the ACC tournament. Hey, tomorrow we still are going to have another episode talking through round 3 and what to expect in the quarterfinals. Only difference is full transparency, we'll be driving about 5 hours tomorrow. So it will be audio only. So if you listen over on YouTube, make sure you switch that up and head over to either Spotify, Apple Podcast, Alexa, wherever you get your podcast. Listen to episode over on those platforms instead, and then we will be back to video in our regular podcast Friday after the quarterfinals to talk before the championship or before the semifinals, talk about the championship, whatever that works. But so we'll be back with video after Friday's games. Thanks so much for joining us. We can't wait to see you soon. Make sure you follow us over on all the social medias and all that fun jazz. Until we see you again, keep that Tiger pride alive and roaring, and as always, go Tigers.
Roar.
Wow.